going on, my YouTube people? 29 United back here with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be reacting, predicting, and previewing the UEFA Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League semifinals. There are a total of 4 teams left in each competition after today at the time of recording's games. And yeah, we're going to straight dive in. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe as well. I'm very close to 3.2k subscribers, so it would mean a lot to me. And yeah, let's get started. All right, number 1 in the Champions League, we're going to go with the first game, Manchester City versus Real Madrid. A repeat of yet another matchup that has been played in the past. Last time, Real Madrid got the better of City in a huge comeback. Is it going to happen again this time around? I'm not too sure. With how Manchester City have been playing, they've been simply fantastic. They're such in form. And for me, I think they're one of the best teams in the world. They beat my Bayern team very convincingly. Listen, it was a depressing loss for us, but I don't want to get reminded of that. My prediction for that game, I think Manchester City will move on, but I really would not be surprised if Real Madrid does move on as well. I think it's going to be a quite close game. I think it's going to be more closer than that Bayern and City tie, because Bayern right now are just a mess. But that's just another situation that will not be talked about in this video. But yeah, I think I've got City winning that one. I think Haaland is going to continue with his running form, and we're just going to have to wait and see. The next game, well, it's the final game, is between AC Milan and Inter Milan, the Milan derby, which a lot of people are sleeping on. I'm actually kind of excited to see this. It's the Milan derby. When is the last time you've ever seen something like that in the Champions League? I think it will be much better than what people expect. A lot of people are kind of writing off this year's Champions League final, saying that it's not necessarily going to be that entertaining. Well, I do agree it may not be as entertaining as last year's or the years before that, but guys, come on. It's still the Milan derby, and AC Milan are actually picking up a lot of form, so they do have a chance of being Inter Milan. It's really in anyone's hands, and just for the culture, I'm going to go with AC Milan. But I will say this, every time I've said that Inter Milan will lose, I ended up actually being wrong. In the last 2 prediction videos that I've made, I've actually said Inter Milan are not going to go far in this tournament, and they've proved me wrong yet again. 3rd time's a charm. Let's see if they will be out this time. But no, in all seriousness, I think it's going to be a very close game. You know, people like Rafa Leao were pretty much carrying this team as well. Players like Ben Nasser, Mike Maignan, the keeper as well. As for Inter Milan, I mean, listen, they barely made it against Porto. And against Benfica, we saw a completely different Inter Milan, a lot more attacking Inter Milan. And I actually predicted Benfica to go through, and everything that I said about Benfica was just throw that completely out of the window. They were very disappointing, don't get me wrong. In the second game, they did show a fight, ended up in a 3-3 draw, but ultimately at the end of the day was not enough to advance. So we'll see about that game. Inter Milan and AC Milan, it's going to be a very entertaining game, and I'm excited to see what happens in that game. Let's move on to the Europa League. For the Europa League, the games are actually very entertaining for me, and it's Juventus versus Sevilla. Sevilla was a team that was written up in the first leg against Manchester United, and they came back today in fashion, and they won the whole game, man. Listen, they're the Real Madrid of the Europa League. They always find a way, man. And for this reason and reason alone, I'm going to say they're going to beat Juventus. Juventus barely made it out of that Sporting game. It was a very close tie. Juventus, a very good team. I've said in the past, people are downplaying them a lot because of their form, which in reality isn't even that bad this season. But I think Sevilla will win by just a small margin, And I'm saying that purely because they are the Mr. Europa League, really. But again, if Juventus does win, I will not be surprised at all. The other tie is Bayer Leverkusen versus AS Roma. Roma that completely seemed to destroy Feyenoord in the second leg. In the first leg, they did not look like themselves at all. I was actually predicting Feyenoord to go through because they had a great run of form. But yeah, the second leg was very disappointing. It was in Rome, and they just couldn't cope with the circumstances that were around them. So for Bayer Leverkusen, it was actually kind of similar to AS Roma, in which they struggled against their respective Union Saint-Gilloise in the first leg, but then completely smashed them in the second leg. So it's going to be an exciting matchup. I'll have Leverkusen go through this one. I really like how Xabi Alonso is forming up this Bayer Leverkusen team. Players like Wirtz, Osman Diaby, Adli, Lozek, all these guys on form. They're just really good. So I would say Leverkusen and Sevilla are going to find themselves in the Europa League final. We're just going to have to wait and see. All right, let's go to the Europa Conference League. West Ham versus AZ Alkmaar. Those are the two teams that, for me, were the strongest coming up, and now they're facing against each other. West Ham just completely wiped off Gent in a 5-2 on aggregate win, and AZ Alkmaar also wiped Anderlecht in a 6-3 on aggregate win. So the Belgian teams, the teams from Belgium, really did not stand a chance. I predicted West Ham to win the whole thing, to be honest. I know they're not doing too well in the Prem at the moment, but I think they still have what it takes to beat AZ Alkmaar. So I'll say West Ham by a tiny margin. As for the other teams, Fiorentina versus Basel. Fiorentina, which surprisingly were very bad today in the second leg against Lech Poznan. Lech Poznan, which was this close of coming out with a historical comeback, but unfortunately they couldn't have done much more. Playing against Basel, who they beat Nice. I was expecting Nice to win. So for that reason, I'm still going to stick with Fiorentina. All right, don't get me wrong. I think Basel are a fantastic team, but I think this was one of those bad performances from Fiorentina. I think they're going to step it up and they're going to take this a lot more seriously. So I've got Fiorentina and West Ham in the final. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Like I said, are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, like the video as well. That helps a ton. What do you guys think about these ties? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Damn, I'm on red alert. Else you went up in the dirt, man.